is my son starting? Because see, that's what happened. That's how travel ball blew up, Preston.
Okay.
Is
Go
let's
ahead.
say
I'm listening.
you and I had a team. Okay, you
Okay.
and I. Let's say you and I have a team together.
Okay.
Your son's the shortstop. I want my son to be the shortstop. I get
Okay.
now pissed off because your son plays shortstop and mine doesn't. Well, now I'm going to go start my own team where my son's the shortstop. And now I'm going to recruit other players. And I'm going to go steal other players and do this and do that. That's how travel ball blew up. Is unsatisfied parents that think they know better, and then they're going to go start their own teams. So, in my opinion, I'm going to say it, and I don't care what the repercussions are. Travel ball has become a bigger picture of daddy ball.
Okay.
Bigger picture of daddy ball. Because and college baseball has become a reflection of travel ball.
Welcome back. Preston Jackson again on the BCP podcast. We've had some really good guests. Today is right in that realm. And for everybody out here who likes a straight talker, well, I got you that person today. All right. I have a University of Tampa Hall of Famer, Sunshine State Hall of Famer, Triple A World Series champion, 1995 first pick Rule 5 draft for the Padres, and the 1990 Topps Player of the Year in Appalachian League MVP, Mr. Paul Russo. Coach, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, brother. The pleasure to be here.
Hey, those are a lot of good bullet points. Is there any that I left off that we should make mention of?
Well, there's a few.
I'm listening.
But I don't really like talking about myself a whole lot. But I was 4-time All-Star and 2-time first team All-American. I played on the USA team back in 1989. So baseball-wise, those are some of the accomplishments.
And if you're from the Tampa Bay area, and obviously your name rang bells outside of our area, but definitely in the Tampa Bay area where we are, if you mention that Russo name, it rings bells and it goes deep. And I guess to start us off, I want to know, how did young Paul Russo grow up? How did you get involved in baseball your young days? And how did you know that was going to be your thing?
Well, I started playing baseball at West Tampa Little League. Was my first Little League I played at. And they basically kicked my brother and I out of the league because they said we lived out of district. And then I played at Riverside Little League. So I grew up playing at Riverside Little League from 7 to 12 years old, and then actually went to Wellswood at 13 years old. So we also played winter ball at Wellswood because Riverside didn't have that program. But anyway, played here locally and just signed up and went to play. We played all sports growing up. We played football, we played basketball, more street basketball, more street football, and then we played organized football growing up. And we loved sports growing up. It was me, my brother, our cousin across the street lived there, Ronnie Brown. We had 2 friends that lived on the next block, Reggie Randolph and Eddie Joe Martin. And, we just played sports all day long, every day.
And I'm going to kind of jump the gun a little bit because we can circle back. But you said something several times. I played all the sports. I played sports all the time. So in this day and age where it feels like parents and somewhat coaches are trying to push kids into specializing in a sport, in my opinion, way too soon.
Right.
Do you feel the same thing being a longtime baseball coach and instructor? Do you feel that same sense that kids are starting to specialize too early?
Oh yeah, they've been doing it for years. They've been doing it for years. I would say for the last 25 years they've been pushing kids that way. Now, I always felt, especially in high school, I was a much better football player than baseball player. I really loved football. Football in high school was my love. And I just happened to pick baseball. because my senior year, I transferred from Robinson High School to
Okay.
Jefferson at the Christmas break to go play baseball at Jefferson. We had a coaching change, and my dad and I felt that it would be best to go to a top-notch baseball program. So I transferred at Christmas break my senior year and played baseball at Jefferson. And it, even though I led the state in batting average, home runs, and RBIs, I didn't have a baseball scholarship coming out of high school.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did not have a
How is
baseball scholarship.
how is that even how is that remotely possible?
Well,
In a state like Florida, who
yeah,
majors in baseball, it's not like we're
right,
some Rudy Poo baseball state. We've
right.
always been a big time baseball state. And then somebody who leads the state in those major baseball offensive statistical categories, you have a singular scholarship offer?
Not one. I was going to walk on at Hillsborough Community College, and because that was my only option. But what ended up happening was Pat was a sophomore at Faulkner State Junior College,
Okay.
and the University of Tampa was actually recruiting him
Okay.
as a pitcher. So Pat had several offers as a pitcher coming out of junior college. So he was negotiating with University of Tampa and Jacksonville University. So he ended up signing at Jacksonville so that the scholarship money came available to me. So
Oh,
that's how I got to the University of Tampa, was Pat's scholarship money, because he turned it down, was transferred to me. So in actuality, if it wasn't for my brother, I would have not played at the University of Tampa because there was no scholarship offer for me.
boy, if that is not the definition of am I my brother's keeper?
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
is a wow.
Yeah. And so, that I would, and just so happened that year that I would have walked on at Hillsborough Community College, they won the College World Series.
Who
Um,
wait, who won? Hillsborough?
yeah, Hillsborough won the
Okay.
JUCO World Series that year, and they had a
Okay.
great team, and some lifelong friends were on that team,
Right.
and like Kevin Langioti and Mark Mitchelson, guys like that are friends to this day. They were on that team, and we ended up playing at University of Tampa together. But I did not have a baseball scholarship because everybody thought I was going to go play football.
University of Tampa's first Sunshine State Conference Player of the Year in 1990
Yeah,
and a two-time first team All-American
yeah,
who did not have a scholarship from them coming out of high school. Now,
absolutely.
now let's stay there during your college days.
Okay.
What was the biggest adjustment you had to make as a premier high school player in your own right, okay?
Hmm.
And then evolving into this premier college player.
I think the biggest thing was learning how to hit a slider.
Mm,
Um, I was very fortunate. I played for two high school coaches that were, in my opinion, great for me. One was Dave Best at Robinson High School, and the other one was
okay,
Pop Cuesta at Jefferson. Um, and it was good because with Pop at Jefferson, a man that is my lifelong friend, like an uncle to me, Lou Maggio, was there. So Lou was my coach as a little league player.
okay,
So that transition to Jefferson happened, and it was super easy to go through. But my biggest thing, because I was prepared through coaching. I was prepared with the guys that I played with. We were all like-minded. I
mm-hmm,
think my greatest thing was we played American Legion that year, and we had some college players on that team. So,
okay,
you kind of see how to get it done. At Jefferson, it was great because you had pro players that would come back. Fred McGriff, Lenny Fiedo, guys like that would come and practice with us. So you
okay,
saw how they acted, you saw their routines, and you kind of copied them. That's what I did. I copied the guys that I thought were great. When I
okay,
got to to the University of Tampa, I watched Tino Martinez every day.
Okay.
You know, I watched Terry Rupp. Those are the two guys that I watched because I knew one, they were fantastic baseball players and they were leaders.
Right. Oh,
And you know, now don't get me wrong, I thought I was just as good as both of them as a
yeah,
freshman,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but I saw how they acted, I saw how they went about their routines, their work ethic, and I wanted to mimic that, and I did.
Okay.
Did
Okay.
I
And
mimicked I mimicked good behavior.
sounds like the thing to do to be a two-time
Right.
first team All-American.
Right. You know,
So,
and quite honestly, Preston, I worked my ass off in the weight room, uh,
yep.
hitting, fielding. I did. I was. I'm a true believer in work ethic. Um, I'm a true believer in work ethic.
So a guy like me in my generation, my age, and where I came up, if I hear the name Russo and I go look you up and I have free access to you, I'm gonna ask all those questions how you got
Right.
to where you got.
Right.
This generation, do
Mhm.
you get those questions from the youth that you're involved with? Like, yo, how do I get to the level that you were at, coach? Do you get that at all?
Sometimes, but I think you know, and this is it's hard to say, it's difficult to say, but I think this generation, because of all the hoopla that goes around, that they're entitled to it. I think their
Mm-hmm.
parents think that because they pay money that they're entitled to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, you gotta if you want to be great, you got to do what great people do. You know,
Right.
you got to put in the blood, sweat, tears, work ethic. When you know, I'm full belief that you got to work when somebody else isn't working. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was a jealous type of player. Let me say that, Preston. I was a
Okay.
jealous type of player,
Okay.
and what I mean by that is, if I saw somebody else's name in the newspaper for doing great, then I wanted to be in the newspaper. So if one guy hit a home run, I wanted to hit two home runs. And
Right.
and that's how I was. That's how I was. I I didn't seek the notoriety, but I wanted the notoriety. I wanted it because I wanted people to realize, because I say it all the time to the kids, I'm nothing special. I'm 5'11" on a good day, you know. I'm not 6'5", but I could hit a ball 450 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I was able to do that was through lifting weights, perfecting my swing.
Mm-hmm.
The two biggest influences on my career were Lenny Faedo and Fred McGriff. Lenny
Oh, okay.
Faedo, Lenny Faedo taught me how to recognize pitches, to think in certain counts, and Fred McGriff taught me how to hit home runs. He taught
Right.
me how to hit home runs through a consistent approach. And you know, when those guys spoke, I listened, and I did exactly what they said to do because I knew who they were, and there was the great thing about those two men, especially back then, um, there was no conceit. They were there to help, and
Right.
I think they wanted to help even more because I wanted to learn, and
Mm.
I didn't have any of the answers. You know, nowadays, all these kids have the answers, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's frustrating. You know, and I tell in my personal instructions, I tell kid all the time, if you listen and you let me, I'll make you great because I know what it takes to be great. I know what it takes. And I've been in those situations. And most of the time, it's all mental. When you get to a certain stage, it becomes mental. But, you know, I just think today's kids they're a lot different than us. Let's put it that
Yeah.
way. They're a lot different.
Yeah. And I don't want to be, at some point I'll get old, but I don't want to be the old guy banging on the young generation just yet. So,
No, listen, because
however,
I love it. It keeps me young. Listen. I
right.
love being in the dugout. I love being around the kids. It just it frustrates me sometimes because um, they don't necessarily take in what you're saying to them. You know.
Right. And just to back up a little bit, I love what you say. I used to be a jealous player, and
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way, but I think I used to be a jealous player too. Because anytime you saw somebody's name in the paper, and obviously when we were coming up,
Right.
your name had to be in the paper for you to know something.
Exactly.
Like you didn't get it
Exactly.
on Twitter or Instagram, and you find that
No.
information immediately. You had to get that paper on Saturdays. You know, my I was a basketball football player, but when you saw somebody else's name in that basketball section, that football section, we were trying to find out where does this guy work out at?
Right.
Because wherever he works out at, I'm trying to go see him live and in person. So when the
Absolutely.
college guys used to come home, you know, word would get out, hey, we're training at Hillsboro or we're going to train at Rolette Park, whatever the case may be. And then that one guy would show up and he'd say his name and be like, oh,
Hmm.
so you're so and so. All
Absolutely.
right, well, this is going to be a good workout then. And every
Absolutely.
time you're here, I'm going to be here.
Yeah. And see that, and that the great thing, Preston, was those guys, they would accept you in. They would accept
Yes.
you in and teach, and learn,
Yes.
and you would learn from them, and nowadays it's not like that. And trust me, I'm in the business, so I know it's all personal lessons and this and that. It's not like, hey, show up and we'll get some work done. Now it
Right.
happens sometimes, but uh, that's what I used to love about being at Jefferson every day.
Mm-hmm.
Fred McGriff was there and Lenny Faedo were there, and they taught you what they knew.
And there's a place for it. There's a place for the personal training, and
Absolutely, absolutely.
there's also a place for the let's just get the work in,
Yeah,
because it goes together. They just can't come to Coach Russo for personal training and do
exactly.
nothing until the next time they come see Coach Russo. It just doesn't work like that.
It's never gonna work. It's never gonna
Never
work.
gonna work.
Yeah, never. I got kids that are 9 and 10 years old that send me videos of them hitting in their garage or hitting in their carport, and those are the type of kids that they're gonna make it. I don't care if they're
Right.
9 and 10 years old because you've already established work ethic, and
Right.
and that's what's gonna make them great.
So jump to your pro career,
Yep.
and if any of these numbers seem incorrect, just let me know. It's just a research I found.
Okay.
Uh, 10 season pro career, mostly in the minor leagues, different levels.
Uh-huh.
Um, .270 batting average, 481 RBIs, 119 home runs. And if I'm correct, I believe my research said you were the home run king 3 to 4 seasons, maybe
Yes.
two of them in a row.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So you've established weightlifting was a big part of your routine.
Yeah.
But go to the detail of it. Go to the if I was coming to Paul Russo for hitting lessons and I
Mhm.
said, Coach, I lift weights. I'm good with my rotational swing, but I'm not hitting home runs.
Right.
What's my problem, Coach?
Well, it all comes down to basically hand-eye coordination.
Okay.
It's a few things. Don't get me wrong. It's a few things. One could be balance. One could be um, timing. But basically, it's how you hit it. Because
Mm,
when you're strong, here's the thing, Preston. When you're strong, you can miss hit it, and it's going to go out of the ballpark. You don't have
okay.
to you don't have to necessarily get it on the sweet spot, and you're still
Okay.
gonna hit, and it's still gonna fly.
Okay.
Um, but the things I talk about now are backspin, which is old school. Now it's old school because you got guys that are preaching drop the barrel behind you and uppercut. Listen, there's a million ways to hit a home run, but
Okay.
to be consistent, you got to do these certain things. One is, I think, barrel above the ball until the point of contact,
Mm-hmm.
because when you drop your barrel, you're going to drag.
All right.
Quick, and to be quick, to be quick. Those are some of the things, and you got to keep your head on the ball. A lot of these guys, they got great swings, but they're pulling their head, and so they're not seeing what they're doing. You
Right.
know, One thing I was taught at a young age: hit off the tee. I used to hit off the tee every single day,
Okay.
because I was told 40 years ago, if you can't hit a ball off a tee, how can you hit it coming at you? And
Right.
it's the truth, and
Correct.
and I perfected it. When I was in high school, Preston, it was that was when I used to love it. What they call the grind now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I would come home from football practice. My dad would be sitting on the patio smoking a cigar,
Mm-hmm.
and there'd be a tee, a bucket of balls, and my bat. And before I did homework, before I ate dinner, oh, and there was one other thing. There was a jump rope. I would
Okay.
jump. I would have to jump 1,000 rope, go hit 200 balls off the tee. Then I could, then I could do my homework. Then I could eat dinner. And
There you go.
it wasn't something that was mandatory. I think it was just expected. If you want to be great, these are the things you have to do. These are the steps you
Mm-hmm.
have to take to be great.
Right. Right.
and and those are the extremes I went to. I what enhanced my hand-eye coordination when I was young was my dad drilled a hole through a golf ball and hung it from the ceiling fan in my room, and I used to lay back and close one eye and hit the golf ball and follow the golf ball, strengthen up my eyes, because my dad read this, and to this day my dad's an avid reader, and so he read about strengthening up your eyes, getting stronger with your swing. I would swing a bat in the swimming pool. I would
Okay.
do unconventional things to
Oh, I
to get
like that.
yeah.
I like
I
this.
would do
I
all
like
types of
that.
things. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. um Certain things you have to do to be able to hit a baseball. Some things
Yeah.
just don't change. And I teach the same when I coach my DBs. There's a
Right.
thousand different ways in defensive backs um that you can make plays, right?
Right.
However, no matter things, certain things just don't change. You have to play with your eyes first. You got to be able to see the field. You have to understand what's coming at you. You need to study film,
Right.
but you got to play with your eyes first. And then you only gonna always have to backpedal. There are situations where we can shuffle and bail. There are situations we can sprint out. There are some we can slow read. However, being able to backpedal as a defensive back is a foundational teaching tool. All right. And then after you get good at that, now we can do some other stuff. But
Right.
just like you said, there's 1,000 different ways to teach you how to hit a home run. However, if you can't do one and two things, we
Right.
can't do anything else. The
Right.
foundational pieces have to remain there for time.
It has to. It has to. That's where it always is, and that's why I made the statement. If your barrel is above the ball when you're starting your swing,
Mm-hmm.
then you can hit the 9 quadrants of the strike zone. If your
Okay.
barrel is above the ball as you're approaching it, you can hit any ball that's pitched. But if your barrel drops behind you, you can only hit maybe a knee high pitch or a low pitch. But I want to
Okay.
be able to hit the high pitch, the middle pitch, and the low pitch. I want to hit the 9 quadrants of the strike zone. That's what I want to be able to hit.
If I were an opposing scout who
Yes.
saw Paul Russo for his entire pro career,
Right.
what would I wrap it up? How would I wrap it up? And what would I say about Paul Russo as a pro? What was his scout? What would be his scouting evaluation?
Scouting evaluation was plus power, average fielder, uh, plus arm, average runner. But if you needed to win a game, you wanted me in the batter's box.
Give me your best moment. Go.
Best
No,
moment.
no, hold on. We're
Yeah.
smoking cigars. I know you're a
Yeah.
cigar guy, right?
Yes, I am.
That's your thing. You're a
Yep.
cigar guy. We can get to that at the end.
Yeah.
You're a cigar guy. We're at the lounge. I got a cognac and I got a nice
Yeah.
stogie. I'm sitting here, and I meet you for the first time, Paul Russo, and I look you up on your Wikipedia. I said, "Oh, that's Paul Russo." I said, "Hey, coach, tell me about the time. What time would you tell me? What's the best story?"
Well, Preston, there's a lot of good ones. There's a
All right.
lot of good ones. I would say in professional baseball, and this goes back to my father. Um, First time Pat and I were actually playing together in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Um, and it was, when I tell you, freezing. And you got
Mm,
two boys from Tampa, Florida, and we
mm.
fly up there and we're playing together. We get off the plane and it's 30 degrees, uh, freezing cold. We our first game in professional baseball was, um, a, we got snowed out.
Okay.
First time I ever saw snow as a person. First time. We get
Yep.
snowed out. So we're playing in Kenosha, and I haven't hit a home run in the first month of the season. And I'll
Okay.
always remember this first month of the season. So it's freezing cold. My dad calls and says, I'm coming to see y'all. So my dad comes, he flies in. As my dad is walking in to the stadium, they announce my name to hit.
Okay.
As my dad is walking up to watch me, I hit my first home run of the season.
Did he see it?
He saw it. He was right
Oh.
there. So he
Woo.
is there. He is he's into the stadium. They announce me. So I'm walking up to the plate as he's walking up to his seat. And I hit my first home run. And everybody said, it's because your dad's here. Now you feel comfortable. And that's how my dad, that's our relationship. But
Okay.
there's a lot of great moments in my life, walk off home runs, this, that. Um, but the one that will always stick out in my mind is when my dad came to the stadium. And
That's pretty good.
yeah, and that, but listen, with my brother, I mean I played professional baseball with my brother. Who gets to do that?
Right.
Not too many people get to do that. I played
Right.
college baseball with my brother. I played high school baseball with my brother. I mean, that right there that would be the topper of most cakes. Um, it's been so long that I haven't played that I forget things, of course, but
Yeah.
there is, going to the College World Series at the University of Tampa. We didn't win, but playing on the USA team, uh, playing in Cuba. Got to go play in Cuba.
Okay.
There's a lot of high accolades, but it's the one I'll always remember is the one with I couldn't hit a home run because and my dad shows up, and the biggest joke was, okay, now we gotta get a cardboard cutout of your dad and put it in the bleachers so that you'll produce. So, but that's always a great memory.
Well, the last name Russo just screams strong family ties and values. And anybody who knows that last name and the origins of it knows it's just very tight family oriented.
Yeah.
And you've done all these things with your brother. And I guess one of the current accomplishments that you have run and organized with your brother is the Hit Factory baseball organization.
Right. Right.
If folks don't know about Hit Factory, if this is the first time they're hearing about Hit Factory, what would you say Hit Factory is?
Well, and also we have Vince Gagnon now as our partner too, which Vince and I actually were on our first Little League team together. So that's even more
Okay.
family, more
Boom.
family. So I would say that it's Hit Factory. I started Hit Factory, and the reason I got into coaching, Preston, was I wanted kids to have the opportunities I had as a college and professional player. That's
Okay.
why I got into the baseball business. I got into it because I wanted to teach kids the right way to play, the way I
Okay.
knew how to. And I will tell you this, and I will admit it fully. I was My brother is 100 times the better athlete,
Mm-hmm.
but I had work ethic
Mm-hmm.
and I had the determination to be great. I wanted to be great, and I worked for it. But natural ability, it was Pat. Um, but we started this business to help kids get better in baseball, and it started
Okay.
off with younger kids. And then as the business started to grow, we started off with 2 or 3 teams. We got over 20. Um, and instilling fundamentals in the kids, then teaching them the intricacies of the game, and then making them believe in themselves so that they could reach those levels. I mean, we've had uh, over 300 or so kids in college, a few dozen going to pro ball. Um, So, I think we've done our job. I think we've done our job. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a ton of competition. Everybody and their mother is starting a travel team and starting a travel organization, and you can say we're the originators of building an organization type in Tampa, and
Right.
people come and go, but we're in it to instill great values into the kids, teach them how to play the game that we all love, and how to be successful. I've always said that I will bypass now, and this is where my brother and I disagree, but I think that's what makes it work extremely well. I'm the development guy. He's the
Mm-hmm.
guy that will want you to learn how to win. And
Okay.
and I think there's no exceptions for you. Got to learn how to win. You got to know how to win. That's why you play. That's why they keep score. But I don't want to. I don't want to, and I've never wanted to have a kid's development diminish because of winning. You know,
Okay.
and we have two different philosophies when it comes to that. Um, but you got to make winners. But I believe you make winners by development. And that's what Hit Factory really is. I mean, our program has grown exponentially over the last 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to keep doing it. I don't do it as much, but Pat and Vince are at it every day.
Right.
Um, I love the lesson part. I love the teaching of hitting. That's what I love. I love the how to teach your mind how to be a great player. Those are the things that I enjoy doing at this stage of my life. But it's going strong. The summer program's starting pretty soon, and hopefully we can help kids get moved on to the next level, play
Now
college
Vince is
football.
now Vince is going to see this, and I meant no disrespect to Vince at all. But
Right,
when I was throwing the origin of it, it was you and your brother that started
right,
it, correct?
right, right.
All right, and
Yeah,
as of recent years,
yeah,
Vince has come in as a partner. So now it's the three
yes,
of you guys, and we probably
together.
say Pat and Vince together. Yes.
Yeah, yes.
All
So
right. Absolutely.
it's all three of us together. And Vince came in. Now Vince was part of the organization, but didn't become an owner until about 4 years ago when Alexa got into her car accident.
Okay.
Um, I was basically that was right before the summer happened, and
Okay.
I decided at that point that I didn't want to be gone. I was with her every day, helping her through her rehab, and I think by me being with her every day, it it made me realize that I wanted to be home more, and and uh, and not travel and not do those things anymore. So
And that's that strong family, those strong family
absolutely,
ties.
absolutely,
Absolutely. And that's just it's fantastic. Now, I softballed you.
yeah,
Now I'm gonna hit you with a few heavy hitters. All right, man. And that's why you're the perfect guy for this because you don't
okay,
run from crap.
nope.
Is it too much pressure on youth players to win rather than develop?
I believe at an early age, yes. I believe at
Okay.
an early age, yes. I believe the development, really developing, should be between those 6 to 10-year-old years. And in
Mm-hmm.
those 6 to 10-year-old years, you develop, and as they're developing, you're teaching them how to win. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you don't baby them when they lose. You still have to be firm, but I think you have to develop them, and you develop them into winning. You don't just say, "Oh, you got to win, win, win." That's okay. That's like saying, "Hey, you're stupid. You don't know the answer." Well, hey, if you know the answer, teach me how to do the answer,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe every team I coached was a reflection of me. My
Okay.
players were a reflection of me. So you have to teach them first, and then if you teach them right, the winning will come. It will come all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the development, I don't want to sacrifice the development at those ages, because 11 and 12, you better know what you're doing, because if not, when you step onto that big field at 13, it's pretty much all over.
Okay. So now I'm gonna softball this a little bit. I'm gonna switch this
Okay.
question up
Okay.
because a lot of parents, they want their kids to win. They want them to enjoy the game, and obviously winning is enjoyable.
Yep.
But if how can what message or teaching tool would you provide parents for young players coming in? What should be the expectation?
The expectation should be, is my son learning? Is my son developing? Not necessarily is my son starting, because see, that's what happened. That's how travel ball blew up, Preston.
Okay.
Is,
Go
let's
ahead.
say
I'm listening.
you and I had a team. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say you and I have a team together.
Okay.
Your son's the shortstop. I want my son to be the shortstop. I get
Okay.
now pissed off because your son plays shortstop and mine doesn't. Well, now I'm going to go start my own team where my son's the shortstop. And
Mm,
now I'm going to recruit other players. And I'm going to go
mm,
steal other players and do this and do that. That's how travel ball blew up.
mm,
Is unsatisfied parents that think they know better, and then they're going to go start their own teams. So
mm.
in my opinion, I'm going to
Yep.
say it, and I don't care what the repercussions are.
Yep.
Uh, Travel ball has become a bigger picture of daddy ball,
Okay.
bigger picture of
Elaborate.
daddy ball, because if and and college baseball has become a reflection of travel ball.
Oh snap. Okay. I'm here for it. Go.
Okay, I'm not happy. I want to go somewhere else. Instead
Okay.
of what my dad used to teach me and still teaches me to this day. My dad's going to be 83 years old, still teaches me to this day. If you don't like the circumstances, change the circumstances. Get better. Work harder. Not, oh, well, let's go find you somewhere where you can play or where you can fit in. It's not the way it was. It's not the way it is. You know, people say, well, oh, you transferred. I transferred because my coach left. My
Mm-hmm.
coach retired from playing, and I went to a great program where I still
Mm-hmm.
had to earn my spot. Okay, there's the difference between quitting and picking up your ball and going home and transferring because of a great opportunity to better yourself and play with great players. So all these guys now leave because they're not playing their freshman year, you know. Now look what's happened. Now junior college doesn't even count anymore.
Wow.
Junior college is like 13th and 14th grade.
Yep.
And what it does is it actually kills the high school baseball player or the high school
Oh yeah.
football player. It
Oh
kills
yeah.
them.
Oh
Because
yeah.
now, why would I go recruit a young kid that can't help me really for the first couple of years when I can get the transfer portal guys, I can get junior college guys, and it hurts the high school player, because
Mm,
all these kids have, which I never understood this, and I disagree with totally. All these kids have delusions of grandeur about playing Division One.
right.
When I was in high school, Preston, I didn't even know what the hell Division One was. I just knew I just knew I was going to go play college sports.
Right.
I was gonna go. I didn't know there was a difference between junior college and University of Tampa and the University of
Right.
Florida. It
Right.
was college baseball. It
Right.
was college baseball. That's all I knew about. But all of a sudden, I guess people smarter than me think, oh, you're not good if you don't play at the Division One level. Well, when I was at University of Tampa, we used to beat the hell out of Division One. We
Yep.
killed Florida, killed Miami, pounded USF, beat Tennessee, beat Western. We beat them all
Right.
with all kids from Tampa, pounded them. So I never knew there was a difference. But I think a lot of parents kill their kids' spirit, and the kids feel that if they don't live up to what the parent expects, it's a failure. I've seen more kids quit baseball because of that, you know,
Mm,
and it's disheartening because if what I what and Preston this and I think I might do this in the next year or two.
okay.
I want to get I want to start a team of players that every coach thinks suck.
Mm,
That's what I want. I want a suck. I want the suck. I want what they are considered the sucky kids, and I want to train them for 3 years, 4 years, and see what happens.
I like the challenge.
And see what happens. That's the
Yep.
challenge I wanted. Listen, anybody can recruit an all-star team. I just
Yeah.
heard a friend of mine's team went and played in a tournament in Texas. Another team actually flies kids in to play in a 10-year-old tournament.
Come on, man.
Preston, I swear to you, I was dumbfounded. And
What are we doing?
I go, what is going on right now? I mean, I've heard stories of there's guys that have a lot of money that they buy subdivisions or buy houses and house and move kids from all over the country to come move their families to come live at these places and play little league baseball or travel baseball. I mean, it's just there's something missing in somebody inside their soul if you got to win all the time. If you have to put together a team to go win, either you were a loser and there's something deep in the pit of your soul that there's a hole there that you have to fill it by letting people know, oh, I won a travel ball game or I won
Hmm.
a travel ball tournament. I mean, maybe it's because I'm getting older, Preston. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, brother. But it's sad because the ones that suffer are the kids. That's all that that's all that happens. The kids suffer.
Do you think it is a attention seeking behavior from the parents? The parents actually enjoy the attention that they're seeking from other clubs recruiting their kid, their son or
Absolutely.
their daughter. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you know, now let me tell you the type of the parents that I see. Dad, tremendous athlete, mild mannered, doesn't want attention.
Hmm.
Their kid ends up being the same way.
Okay.
Another dad sucked at sports. His son, however, is a pretty decent athlete.
Hmm.
Now, my reality and my recognition comes through my kid.
I see it.
And then they live through the kid.
I see it.
I have 3 children. I have a beautiful wife. Not one time in my life have I wanted my reality to be based on my children. My son had it hard, don't get me wrong. He
Hmm.
had he was my son. People viewed him differently. And
Right.
Paulie did not really develop until he was 11 or 12 years old.
Okay.
Um, my daughter, on the other hand, Paulie didn't hit his first home run until his last game of his 11-year-old year, Preston. My daughter
Okay.
hit her first home run when she was 5. you know, so it's it's and even in my own household, my own children, it's all about development. It's all
Right.
about you're going to develop differently. Paulie really didn't in my opinion, get great until he was 12, and
Okay.
then, in my opinion, Paulie was the smartest player I ever coached. Was Paulie, uh, as a player and a person, and then his work ethic. But see, then I was able to get him around guys like Josh Johnson, uh, Todd Snell, all Todd, lifelong friend. Um, Josh Johnson, his dad and I were good friends, and I love Josh like a son.
Right.
Then I was able to, when I saw his potential, then I put him around these men that I knew would help him grow as a person and then as an athlete.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I'm proud as hell of everything he ever did. Paulie
Mm-hmm.
played professional baseball with the Nationals, college baseball, South Alabama, played with the Nationals. And now when I watch him coach, I'm even more proud of him. My daughter, Alexa, tremendous athlete. My youngest daughter, Talia, she was a tremendous student. Hated sports. I remember she was a cheerleader when she was young. I said, "Oh, she said, Daddy, I want to only cheer for basketball." I said, "Why?" She goes, "It's in the air
That's
condition."
it. Yep.
You know, because it's in the air condition. So,
Yep.
but Talia, I think, is the strongest. She's the, let's put it this way, Talia's got the meanest streak. Okay.
Was the youngest one. Yep.
Yeah. Paulie is, I think, the smartest. Uh, and Alexa is the female version of me.
Okay.
Alexa is the most like me. She's the female version of me.
Gotcha.
Um, uh, and I've never wanted to all I want is for their happiness and success. But when parents try to live through their kids, it's bad because the kid suffers the most. And then the parent becomes delusional, you
Mm.
know, and the kid ends up being, I've used this term a lot, a travel ball prostitute.
Don't say that, Coach. Come on now. That's what he is.
It's the truth. It's the
It's a
truth.
lot of bouncing. It's a lot of grabbing. They're grabbing at them. They're kind of like hired guns, if you will.
Yeah, and listen, no, you can't. I don't think you can use the word hired guns, Preston, because you got to be
Okay.
good to be a hired gun.
Yeah.
No, let me rephrase that. You got to be, in my opinion, you got to be great to be a hired gun.
Okay.
If I'm going to hire somebody or I'm going to bring somebody on, he better listen. That SOB better go 10 for 10 with 10 jacks.
So what are they doing, Coach? Who are they bringing on then?
They what they perceive is going to, this is what I think. This is what I think most travel ball dads, and I might be wrong, but I think I'm not. I think I'm pretty dead on balls accurate about it.
Okay.
Let me surround my kid with the best players I can find to
Okay.
make my kid a winner and make my kid a success.
Okay.
Instead of, let me surround my kid with mediocre talent and push my kid to be better.
Mm.
I don't want my kid to learn how to be the best player. I want my kid to learn how to be the leader of the
Right.
team. That's what I want my son or my daughters to learn. Be the leader. You don't have to be the best. Be the
Right.
leader and then work your tail off every day to be the best. That's what I think
And it's
is
funny you say
missing.
that. It's funny you say that because my son, the position he plays quarterback. And when he was in middle school, we were obviously trying to figure out which high school that we were wanting to choice into. And it was two or three schools that were really high on our list. And obviously athletics played a big part of it. And the reason those handful of schools, those one or two schools, or three schools are on the list is because we saw the development that those coaches had with that position.
Right.
Right. It wasn't necessarily about the talent that was involved. It was solely because these schools have a really good reputation of developing players at his position. All right. And then when my daughter plays lacrosse and she's a pretty good player, we came up with our travel program, and there was a bunch of girls who had never played before, and we weren't very
Right.
good. And they stayed together, they worked hard. And then, as you know, in the travel circuit, as players get older, other things start interesting them. So either they fall out the sport or they start going to different clubs for various reasons, right?
Right.
And we were always just down with our club. Whatever we had, that's what we were going to play with. And I didn't. It was not necessarily the plan involved. It's just my family. We're just not jumpers. We're going to work. We know the core of our team. We know how important we are to our team, and we're staying put in order to make our team better. But I heard Gilbert Arenas say one time with his son, he's got a pretty good basketball player in his household, and his son And he said, yo, we had opportunities to go join other all-star players and all-star teams. He said, but that doesn't do anything for my son. I wanted my son to figure out how to get things done. I needed him to learn how to be dependent on. I needed him to learn how to make the big bucket, to play against the best players on defense, to do everything that his son needed to do. And I was already doing that with my kids,
Right.
but it didn't translate. It didn't translate until somebody like Gilbert Arenas said what he was doing on purpose
Right.
with his son. I was just doing it off principle and value of our family. But when he said it was the strategy that he was taking, I said, "Yo, that makes a lot of sense. That
Right.
makes a lot of sense." And I love how he did it because he could have did it. He could have made these all-star teams and put his son in great situation and won a whole bunch of state championships. But that wasn't their sole purpose. He wanted to develop every area of this stud athlete that he had: mental preparation, work ethic, the whole nine, accountability. He wanted to build every area of his son to be this great player, and it wasn't just his talent.
And that's how you have to do it, because it's not about the winning. It's more importantly about the losing.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to be successful in loss?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to be a leader in loss? How do I bounce back from a loss? How do I deal with failure? How do I listen? Anybody can deal with success, you know.
Yep.
And I believe, because I've had a lot of sports psychology training from a
Okay.
young age. I don't believe, and I've learned, I don't believe people are fear have a fear of failure.
Okay.
I believe people have a fear of success, because with
Mm.
success comes expectation.
All the time.
And if I succeed now, now it's expected of me. Now what? I wanted my children to be able to fear everything, because out of that fear blossoms a champion and a leader. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I fail, and we're playing sports, we're playing sports. If you fail 7 out of 10 times in baseball, you're a gazillionaire. You know, you're a gazillionaire.
If you fail 3 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. If if you succeed that 3 out of 10 times, you're
Actually, I said it the wrong way. If
yeah.
you succeed three out of
Three.
10, you're a Hall of
Right.
Famer. Yeah.
And nowadays, now you only got to succeed 2.65 times in your Hall of Famer. But that's a completely different story. But
Right.
to build the athlete, there's a lot of different things that you have to do. One is nutrition, training, uh, work ethic, fundamentals. But I think the most important is mental, because what I see a lot is when they fail, they break down. You know, when they fail, they break down. I want to see, when you fail, can you stand back up?
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to strike out with the bases loaded, the game on the line. Everybody's doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter if you strike out, fly out, or pop out. It's an out.
It's an
You
out.
make it out. You know, um, how am I going to bounce back? So if I strike out with bases loaded in the first, what am I going to do my next three at bats? Is that
Mm-hmm.
one at bat going to send me down, or is that one at bat, am I going to learn from it and then not be beat again?
Right. Right.
And that's the type of character I think is missing in players today.
Mm.
It's missing in players because they don't have the mental strength to fail early in the game and then succeed late in the game. You know, they
Well,
don't have that ability.
we talked about development with youth sports, and
Yeah,
you even talked about development with Paulie, and I want to jump
yeah,
into Paulie right now.
yeah.
Um, I have been a fan of Paulie for a long time now, and this is a compliment coming from a guy who can talk sports about any sport. Okay,
Right, right,
I know enough about baseball, but obviously I'm not dialed in like you or Paulie or all these
right,
other great baseball folks. I know enough about it, and in any sport that is a team involved sport, in my opinion, the biggest compliment any coach can get is when somebody says they're a well-coached team.
Right.
All right. Because as a coach, everything falls up underneath you. Your job is to prepare your team for any given day that you have to play. And when somebody says they're a well-coached team, whether you win or you lose, you've done your job. The players have to execute. Every game I see Paulie's team play, and let me back up. Paul Russo Jr. is the current head coach at Tampa Catholic. And for those out there who aren't very familiar with Tampa Catholic baseball, there was a stretch of probably about, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, between 10 to 15 years where Tampa Catholic was probably the premier, not if one in the state, but definitely in Tampa Bay. Okay. Tampa Catholic was fantastic, multiple state championships, some back to back. And then they kind of had a drop off. Um, and now Paulie has been, this is his third year as a head coach. Okay.
Fourth,
And
fourth, actually
fourth year as
fourth
a head
already.
coach.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Fourth year as a head coach. And his Tampa Catholic teams have done nothing but trend upwards, right? And at one point in time, I think they were 12-0 this season, ranked by 813 Preps. Shout out to 813 Preps. They do a great job of baseball coverage here in the area. They were number one in the area until they had that battle with Jesuit.
Right.
Now, let me jump back into it with Paulie. As I watch his teams play, they're always in the right place. Not many self-inflicted wounds. Not many errors. They just do a lot of good things well. And that is a testament to the coaching. Okay. Paulie has put together a staff of baseball minds and experience, and you now being on that staff, which has made Tampa Catholic a highly attractive spot for baseball players or parents who want to send their kids to a baseball school, if you will. Add on the academics and the culture of Tampa Catholic makes it very attractive. As you've seen your son develop as a coach, if you had to say one thing stands out to you, it's just really obvious. What is it?
Prepared.
Okay, there you go. Well, always well coached. Go ahead, coach.
He's always prepared. I knew at an early age, Preston, and it drove me crazy as when he was a kid, because again, I say our personalities are not the same. My middle daughter, Alexa, and I are the same. Him and I are not. You could
Okay.
not tell if Paulie was 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts or 4 for 4 with 4 home runs. He was just that kid. He was that kid.
Okay.
As a coach, I see he is much more emotional than he was as a player. And I think that's part my fault because I taught him never let him see you. You know, like the commercial, never let them see you sweat, regardless of what happens, good, bad, or otherwise. Even keel. He is much more emotional as a coach. Every coach on Paul, and you know, people give him some crap. We got a lot of coaches, and we do. Every coach except for 3 on the staff were all Paulie's coaches. As a kid, as a high school player, and as a college player. They were all his coaches. So all those men had a lot to do with the development of Paulie as a coach. Now we have Pat's son, Tripp, is our pitching coach. So a family member as a coach.
Yep.
And that's really the only one that never was involved with Paulie as a young man. So those things have developed him as a coach. He's prepared. He is a great teacher, and I don't think that just comes from me. I think that comes from the men that he's been surrounded by. He's a great communicator. He is brutally honest, like me, which I appreciate. Is because one thing I've always told him is I say, don't sugarcoat it. Don't. And I know you, in a world of political correctness, an athlete doesn't want that. An athlete wants the truth. If I'm not going to play, tell me why I'm not playing. If I'm going to be a part-time player, tell me why I'm a part-time player. I think he does that very well. some parents can't handle it.
Right.
Some parents can't handle it. Um, and the parent thinks they know more than him. Um, but the good policy is, hey, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your child. That's it. That's
Okay.
Paulie's
Okay.
policy. I talk with the player. That's it. I don't do that with the parents. Um,
Okay.
but he's in control of every phase of the game. Um, and he's prepared. He studies. He and the great thing I love about it is he knows his players. I've never seen a
Mm-hmm.
guy be able to take a guy off the bench, put him in the bunt, that guy go to first, take that guy out, put in another guy to pinch run for him. He knows his staff. He knows his staff. He knows his players. He knows his roster, and uh, and he's had some great coaches that he's been with in his life from. Uh, you know, Mike Wren was his coach at HCC. Ty Griffin, in my opinion, was a great um, mentor for Paulie as a coach and as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Ty was tremendous in Paulie's development. Mark Calvi out at South Alabama, um, and all those men had something to do with Paulie's development, as well as the guys on staff now. Um, and I just think he's the most prepared guy out there. You know, he likes the little things, but he loves the big things too. And he's young, and the kids can relate to him very well. They can relate to him very well. So that's, I think, always a plus.
What player on Paulie's team and on your team also, you guys coach together,
Uh-huh.
reminds you most of your young self?
Of me,
Yep.
none,
None.
none.
Mm.
The only one that kind of is similar in the sense of aggressiveness is Cole Bittman,
Okay. I like
but
Cole.
none of them remind me of me. None of them.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Tampa Catholic stats right now, their player
yeah.
stats. Um, who has really come on of late? Probably started slow, but have really they've hit their stride.
Um, I would say that I like going to the bench guys because that's where I think your team is built from, is the bench.
Okay.
Daniel Smythe has been
Yep.
fantastic off the bench. Um, I think that's Paulie's greatest asset off the bench as a hitter was Daniel. A lot of guys, have been, very consistent the whole year. A lot of guys have been very consistent the whole year. I wouldn't say there's one. I would say there's two guys that have carried the team uh, from a hitting aspect, and that's Dominic Woodward and Jose Carrero. Those
Mm-hmm.
guys have had magical moments. Um, but I think everybody's been pretty consistent, a little up and down here and there. I think if we all hit at the same time, which is virtually impossible, but I think
Right.
if everybody gets going, that the team can be unstoppable the rest of the way. Pitching has been pretty good. We've had some games where, um, in my opinion, we didn't show up mentally, but that happens within, there's ebbs and flows in the high school season. That happens.
Right. Right.
um but I think they're, as a team unit, they're very close. That's one thing we preach is, you got to have your guys back no matter what. um but I think if everybody could get, and I'm not going to say hot at the same time, I would just say, medium rare at the same time, then we're going to pound people if they can do that. They can do that.
Now, the most important game is the next game, and by time people have seen this interview,
Right.
you'll play Brooks DeBarloso,
Right.
however that turns out. However,
Yeah.
you have Jesuit, Cardinal Mooney, and Calvary coming up
Yep.
before mid-April. Okay, and you don't want to say, hey, we're definitely not looking past other teams, but it is obvious that these big games are coming up towards the end of that season when you guys are trying to prepare for your playoff run. All
Right.
right. How do you keep the team balanced? How does Paulie keep the team
Well,
balanced?
I think because the team has, I think the team always gets a coach's personality. I think
Yes.
Paulie's an even keel kind of guy. Now he's got a fire in him that of course he wants to win. There's no question, and I think the kids they feed off of that energy. Um, every game to him is important. Now, of course, these next three games are, from a fan aspect, they're more important. Let me say that from a fan aspect, not from
Mm-hmm.
a player aspect. Of course, you play your rival Jesuit, which is it's emotional. It's this, it's that. Um, I think we stack up well. Uh, with with a school that has an overabundance of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Calvary the same way. Calvary the same way. Um, I think those two schools are very similar. I don't know a whole lot about Cardinal Mooney, but I know Jesuit and Calvary. They're both very well coached programs. I think Jesuit uh, has a lot of depth. Jesuit. When you got guys that sign that don't even play on your team, they sign college scholarships. That's pretty good. And I will say a couple of those guys played for us, so that's okay too. To
Right,
toot
right,
our
right.
own horn.
A lot of you
Yeah,
guys have done you filtered some really good players out
yeah,
amongst area schools, right? So Hit
yeah,
Factories, as far as development, they've
yeah.
supplied area teams with some really good players.
Oh
With
yeah.
with those, yeah, go ahead.
No, 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 no. No. I was just.
Uh, just to finish up with Paulie, I just did
Yeah,
some quick math, and by
yeah,
time folks who have seen this, at the present time, in about let's say 3.5 season, Paulie has acquired 67 wins.
yeah,
67 wins, starting with 12, 14, 19, 22. It's just the progression has been fantastic with Paulie. And obviously, hey, Tampa Catholic administration, when you see this interview also, the numbers speak for themselves.
yeah.
You're hearing the validation from folks who are outsiders and insiders. So Paulie's doing his job.
Right,
Um, last question involving Tampa Catholic.
right,
And Paulie is even killed, but shows that fire. You
right.
obviously are going to have this game with Jesuit coming up. What is the staff room like when you know that rivalry's coming up? What's the
No, it's
staff
the
room like?
same. It's the same
As the
because
kids, as the kids, or like staff like every other game?
no, with the staff, I think it's every other game. I think the kids, the kids put a little more pressure on themselves for sure.
Yeah,
Of course, it's a big rivalry game. Those emotions, they get stirred up.
right.
As a staff, I think it's basically the same. We're lucky. We have on our staff four guys that played professional baseball. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we have college baseball players on our staff. So the staff is, I don't think the staff gets in any. I mean, for sure I don't. Let's put it that way. For sure I don't. I'm
Right.
I'm walking up. I'm having a cigar on the way there. I'm having a cigar on the way out. I think that it everything just gets a little more intense, meaning attention to detail.
Okay.
Um, you know, but I think the kids take a little more heat into it because it is Jesuit. But
Yeah.
the one thing I say is you got to go out and play. I don't care who you're playing. You could play the New York Yankees or you could play your local little league team. Anybody can beat anybody and anybody can lose to anybody.
Yeah.
It's all up here. It's all up here. The game's up here. Once you get to a certain talent level, it's all the same. I've seen guys that can't throw 65 miles an hour beat good teams, and I've seen guys that throw 100 miles an hour get ripped. So
Mm.
it's all in the mindset of the guy you're facing. It's all it
All
is.
right. I need you to put your thinking cap on. I got a surprise
Okay.
question. Have a little fun. Have a little fun with this one.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. I need the top 5 current team, top 5 Tampa Catholic baseball players that are on the current roster
Okay.
that will likely be terrible babysitters.
Ho, terrible babysitters.
Terrible. You
So,
know the
so
personality.
we're
You're like,
going
yo,
anybody on the roster but bad babysitters. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Let's see. Don't have to be starters, correct?
Nope.
Okay. Don't have to be starters. All right. Let's see. One, AJ Valdez. He'll
Oh,
be a bad
AJ.
baby, and I'll explain why. He'll let him have too much fun. He'll let him have too much fun. That's one.
Okay.
John Oliver.
All right.
Okay, that's two. I'm thinking now. Hold on.
Yep.
Jack Smythe, because I think he'll let them do too many wild things.
Okay.
That's three. Go through the pitching staff here. Let's see. Lucas Sananti, because he'll put no thought into it. He'll just let them do whatever. And
Jose?
No, Jose, listen. If Jose was a bad babysitter, his dad would beat him down, buddy. So I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna listen. That's easy. And okay, I got one more. Let me think real quick. I'm just trying to think of the characters on the team because we got some characters. Some characters. Oh gosh, the last one is the hardest always.
Always.
Drew.
Woodward?
No, that's Dominic. No.
Oh, that's Dominic. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. No, Drew, because Drew's too quiet. And the quiet ones, you never know about the quiet ones. Those are the sneaky ones. So you got to, and Drew's the last one. So that's my 5. That's my 5.
That was pretty good. Hey, and actually, you're 1 through 3. You rattle them off pretty quickly.
Oh,
Coach.
yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, because you can see the characters on the bench, and you know who the fire starters are.